A while back, I made a video on parkour games, and I'm here once again to talk about games where you specifically climb up stuff. Whether it's an abandoned megastructure or a mountain, in these games your only goal is to ascend. The titles span a range of difficulty levels. Some of them have very generous save points, and others have none at all, so you're sure to find something to suit you here if you really just want to climb something. And the game that actually pushed me to sit down and make this video is White Knuckle. Its demo just came out last week and it has such a strange atmosphere. At times it's lonely, maybe even bordering on peaceful. And during other moments, it's super tense and even downright scary. Ascend through the guts of Substructure 17 using precision movement mechanics, all while managing the resources you find along the way wisely and dodging the horrors that lurk within. You use the left and right mouse buttons to control each of your hands, and they'll begin to turn red once you start running out of stamina, which adds some pressure to an already oppressive vibe. Very interested to see how the full game turns out here. Much more chill is the sunny mountaineering game Valley Peaks. It just came out in July and also lets you control each arm individually, but there's no time pressure weighing down on you, just the fresh air and open skies. Instead of climbing up one giant structure, you'll face a series of increasingly more difficult mountains to scale, with the goal of installing radio towers at the top to connect the citizens of the valley to one another. The climbing is very fun, but there are also other activities you can partake in. It's sort of a sandboxy puzzle game set in a small open world, with good vibes all around and plenty of froggy friends. Plus, any game that gives you a glider is a winner in my book, and you can check out the demo right now on Steam. Or if you're not afraid of getting a little tilted, then try the demo for Get Tilted. I'd classify this as almost a rage platformer, but it does actually have some great mechanics to back that up. You play as a happy little potted plant that's only able to hop around by tilting back and forth to control your trajectory. Really weird movement system to get the hang of at first, but very fun to master different types of obstacles like slopes, rotating platforms, and eventually bounce pads. And the world is also very charming. Your goal is to climb your way out of this underground city up into the clouds, and you'll bump into plenty of cute characters along the way as you do so. I just so happened to come across this game as I was looking for titles to add to this list, and I'm very glad I did. Looking forward to getting tilted at some point in the future. Okay, I'm including this next one because it looks really cool, even if the whole premise is sort of the opposite to the title in the video. In Gullet, you rappel down a giant mouth, yes, like that episode of the Magic School Bus. It's a horror adventure game that came out this month, and it's all about managing resources and using your handbrake to control how quickly you descend. Obviously, you're all here for the climbing. You want to go up, leaping across gaps to crumbling handholds, barely making it to the next safe ledge before you fall to your death. But there's something equally as thrilling about fighting against gravity to slowly and safely lower yourself down into a dark and spooky place. I haven't yet played Gullet, but I think that some of you watching will definitely enjoy the experience from what I've seen. And another one that I haven't played yet, but is definitely on my next up list, is Peaks of Yore, which is getting a DLC in just a few weeks, and it contains color, unlike the base game, which is certainly an interesting move. Just like all the interesting moves that you'll have to pull off to scale the picturesque Great Gales Mountains. This game is definitely the most sim-like experience on the list. Again, you control each of your hands individually. You've got various tools like ropes, crampons, chalk. The DLC, which is called the Great Alps, will introduce new types of holds and challenges like pinches, cracks, and volumes. And as someone who has done their fair share of climbing in real life, I love to see this type of attention to detail. The Great Alps is launching on November 14th, and I'm gonna try my best to play through Peaks of Yore before then, so I can take a crack at it. No pun intended. To finish things off, I have two of my favorites. Games you've probably heard me mention if you've been hanging around the channel for a while. First is BETON Brutal. Much simpler than the previous title. All you do is run, jump, and occasionally climb a ladder or two. But boy did it make my palms sweat. It's kind of more of a parkour game, I guess, since you're not actually climbing with your hands, but it does fit the description of having you ascend through a huge structure, and much like the name, it is very brutal because there are no save points. I also really happen to like the music in this game, which is what's playing in the background of this video, actually. I've already talked about it enough on here, so just go try it out if it looks interesting. And last is the wonderful Lorn's lore. If you're into climbing games at all, I'm sure you already know about this one, but I figured that I'd throw it in for good measure. Incredible atmosphere, doesn't hold your hand at all, which can cause you to get lost for a good while, but I really didn't mind. There were a couple levels and timed sections that weren't my favorite, however, I truly never played a game like this before, and I hope that it inspires other devs to make more mind-bendingly massive megastructure games in the future. And that's it. Let me know if there are any titles that I missed at all. I'm sure there are. You guys always come up with the best suggestions for me. I love climbing up stuff, so I'm gonna go play Peaks of Yore now.